a day of rejoicing. Israel has won a great battle against the Ammonites with Saul as their leader, and Saul has officially been made king over the nation. They are in party mode. But Samuel, the great prophet and judge, is about to interrupt the celebration. He's got something important to say to the people. Let's find out what it is. I'm in chapter 12, verse 1, and I'm reading from the New American Standard Version. Then Samuel said to all Israel, "Behold, I have listened to your voice in all that you said to me, and I have appointed a king over you." Remember, Samuel did not like this idea of a king from the first time he heard it. But God had said, listen to the voice of the people. They're not rejecting you, Samuel. They're rejecting me. Now here is the king walking before you. But I am old and gray. And behold, my sons are with you. And I have walked before you from my youth even to this day. Here I am. Bear witness against me before the Lord and his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Or whose donkey have I taken? Or whom have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed? Or from whose hand have I taken a bribe to blind my eyes with it? I will restore it to you. They said, you have not defrauded us or oppressed us or taken anything from any man's hand. He said to them, the Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day that you have found nothing in my hand. And they said, he is witness. Samuel basically puts himself on trial. His entire life has been lived before the people in service to the Lord, ever since his parents dropped him off at the temple after he was weaned. They've seen him and known him, and he says, have I done any wrong? Not one person could name one thing he had done wrong. He's been a faithful judge. So Samuel said, okay, we've looked at my record. Now let's look at God's. Continuing verse 6, then Samuel said to the people, it is the Lord who appointed Moses and Aaron, and who brought your fathers up from the land of Egypt. So now, take your stand, that I may plead with you before the Lord concerning all the righteous acts of the Lord, which he did for you and your fathers. Samuel's talking to the people who demanded a king and want to put their trust in an earthly leader. So he says, okay, first, as much as we revere Moses as a leader, it was God who appointed Moses and Aaron. And it was God who brought your fathers out of Egypt. Continuing verse 8, when Jacob went into Egypt and your fathers cried out to the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, who brought your fathers out of Egypt and settled them in this place. But they forgot the Lord their God. So he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the army of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. They cried out to the Lord and said, we have sinned because we have forsaken the Lord and have served the Baals and the Ashtaroth. But now deliver us from the hands of our enemies, and we will serve you. Then the Lord sent Jerubbaal and Badin and Jephthah and Samuel, and delivered you from the hands of your enemies all around, so that you lived in security. He's recounting this pattern in Israel's history where they would forget about God. God would judge them, turn them over to their enemies. They would cry out to him, and he would graciously deliver them. The people have consistently rebelled. God has consistently been faithful. Verse 12, When you saw that Nahash, the king of the sons of Ammon, came against you, you said to me, no, but a king shall reign over us, although the Lord your God was your king. So now we get even more of the motive behind this demand for a king. In chapter 8, the people said, Samuel, you're old. Your sons don't walk in your ways. We want a king like all the other nations. They even said a little later, we want a king who will go out before us and fight our battles. But now we see there was an actual threat from the Ammonites, and this was their solution. This is such an indictment. You said no, but a king shall reign over us, although the Lord your God was your king. The rejection of God is plain. They wanted someone to take his place. It should move us to ask, who or what have I put in your place, Lord? In what way have I rejected you in favor of an earthly substitute? And it's amazing how these earthly substitutes can seem so pleasing. And it's usually subtle. We're not thinking, I think I'm going to reject God in favor of this. Which is why we need to go to God and ask, where am I not honoring you as Lord and King, as my portion, as my strength, as my peace? Shine your spotlight on it, Lord, and he will show you. It's painful, but he will give us grace to cling to him once again. Continuing verse 13, now therefore, here is the king whom you have chosen, whom you have asked for. And behold, the Lord has set a king over you. If you will fear the Lord and serve him, and listen to his voice, and not rebel against the command of the Lord, then both you and also the king who reigns over you will follow the Lord your God. If you will not listen to the voice of the Lord, but rebel against the command of the Lord, then the hand of the Lord will be against you, as it was against your fathers. These were Moses' commands in the book of Deuteronomy when the people were about to enter the promised land. Fear the Lord, serve him, listen to his voice, follow him. Nothing has changed. Yes, you've got your king, but God is still on the throne. He is still in control. He is still to be honored and obeyed by all of you, including the king. Continuing verse 16, even now take your stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. Is it not the wheat harvest today? I will call to the Lord that he may send thunder and rain. Then you will know and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of the Lord by asking for yourselves a king. So Samuel called to the Lord, and the Lord sent thunder and rain that day. And all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. Then all the people said to Samuel, pray for your servants to the Lord your God, so that we may not die. For we have added to all our sins this evil by asking for ourselves a king. This whole scene is incredible. God has seen them celebrating the victory, celebrating their king, and he's like, whoa. I need to remind them this whole thing is sinful, them asking for a king. He wants them to know that their rejection of him was no small thing. In the past, when the people forgot the Lord and he brought judgment, at least they acknowledged their sin and cried out to God for deliverance. Here, when they saw Nahash coming, they didn't cry out to God. They didn't acknowledge their sin. They said, Samuel, you're old. Give us a king. The problem wasn't their leadership. It was them. Now they see their sin. And interesting, even though they have a king, they're looking to Samuel for prayer. Continuing verse 20, Samuel said to the people, "Do not fear. You have committed all this evil, yet do not turn aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. You must not turn aside, for then you would go after futile things which cannot profit or deliver, because they are futile. For the Lord will not abandon his people on account of his great name, because the Lord has been pleased to make you a people for himself." The heart of God on display. He is full of loving kindness. He is faithful. He is gracious. He is long suffering. He does not cast his people aside. Don't you love that he says he will not abandon them? Not because they're worthy, but for the sake of his great name. And look at his heart in saying, don't turn aside from following me. All these other things will not profit. He knows what's good for us. When God says to follow him, to cling to him, he knows that's the path of blessing. He wants you to prosper. Verse 23, I love this. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by ceasing to pray for you. But I will instruct you in the good and right way. I'm reminded of Jesus' words, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. It's not about whether the people deserve it, and thank God we don't get what we deserve, but it's about doing what's pleasing to the Lord. Samuel ends with this. Only fear the Lord and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider what great things he has done for you. But if you still do wickedly, both you and your king will be swept away. I have to end on this note. Consider what great things he has done for you. Remember, the pattern was that God's people forget. We can't even begin to count all the great things God has done for us. We could spend our days considering the single greatest thing, God sending his son, Jesus, to die for our sins so we could be saved. We can consider the great love he has for us, that he would do something as incredible as that. We can consider that he doesn't tell us we have to be good enough or work hard enough in order to earn salvation. He gives it as a free gift by grace through faith. It'll keep you clinging. Consider all the great things he has done for you and continues to do day after day. Our awesome God.